you click off because I get the insights and it hurts me. So watch the whole episode or delete your Facebook account.
Yeah, no. Leave it going. If I need to put it in editing, I will. Suppress. Alright,
Watch this episode. Don't click off because I know you click off because I
Press
get
on,
the
yeah.
insight.
Okay, cool.
Watch the whole episode or delete your Facebook account, TikTok account. Microsoft doesn't.
I can see it. Do start though. I've got a little face over there. Now, if you can tell me what movie that's from, I'll give you my full respect in the next episode. Alright, let's get on with this episode. Today, I'm joined with Lachlan Money. Now, Lachlan, you are a financial planner for big businesses and individuals, I'm assuming. I hope I'm right about that.
Yep, no, I help anyone who's got a heartbeat, right? So, yeah, pretty much help both people, young, old, it's anywhere in between, help get them to where they're...
I guess let's just go into our first question. So what exactly do you do in detail, and why did you start doing it? What led you to go into this career path?
Yeah, so being a financial advisor or planner, it's my job to help people achieve financial goals that they want. So that commonly is something called retirement, where you get to live, put your feet up and live the life you want and not work for the man or have to rely on your own exertion to draw an income. But it could also be something small, like I want to pay off my credit card or I want to go for a holiday. It's really whatever you want, and it's my job to connect the dots between where you are now and where you want to be in the simplest and safest way possible. Now, as far as why I do what I do, that's a bit of an interesting question to ask. When I was in high school, I never knew what I wanted to do. I was pretty good at most things, I'd like to think, and always thought to myself, if only I was really, really, really good at that one thing, whether that be science or maths or something like that, and then I'd know what to study at university, because I knew I wanted to go study something, but what would it be? So the advice I'd gotten up until that point from my parents was, whatever you do, don't be a teacher. They're both teachers, so you don't get much of a choice if you come from a single career household. So I asked my dad what would he do, and he said if he had his time again, he said something to do with financial advice. Now that's kind of what kicked me off down this pathway, and that's how I wound up where I am today. But why I do what I do is actually a little bit different, and it's not until you look back that you can kind of connect the dots as far as why this is a good choice for me. So when I was in high school, I was looking at things from a very different perspective. I was looking at what was I good at, whereas I should have probably have been looking at it from what things did I enjoy doing the most and naturally just gravitate to. So in high school, the three main things that I enjoyed was theatre, so doing drama, playing in team sports like rugby and basketball, as well as being in the school band. Now, I never went on to play for the Wallabies or be the latest movie star or be in the Queensland Symphony Orchestra or anything like that. But they all involve working together as a team to achieve a common outcome, whether that be putting on a play, putting on a musical performance or scoring a goal. They all involve working towards something and with other people. And so why I continue doing what I do as a financial advisor is because I like working with other people. I want to work towards a common goal and take them on a journey. I don't need to be the one that's necessarily scoring the tries or getting the buckets in basketball, but I want to be part of that process and help them help the team overall succeed and win. So I get a lot of enjoyment about through that process of being a beginner to being all the way to achieving their goals and seeing them succeed.
That's a fantastic answer to that. All right, well, I guess to segue onto that, for lots of young people who are probably a lot like yourself, have no idea what to do, and I guess really, you know, they're just getting their first jobs and just starting to make a little bit of money, but it could go to their head. So what would you recommend that they could do? Like, give me 3 tips of what they could do to start saving very well.
Look, I think my 3 biggest tips for someone just starting out, I would say, first of all, take stock of what you have. Like you say, you don't want to jump before you look kind of thing. So by that I mean let's have a look at what's coming in through the door as far as my income. What can I rely upon? And then what's the best way to utilize that? It's very easy to get caught up in subscriptions and things like that seem only like $10 a month or a week or whatever it might be. But that's now $10 less that you have to spend on other things that you might find important. So look at the things that you have, look at what's coming in, look at what's going out, and just manage that. That's the first and most important thing, because you don't want to overspend and start going backwards, because then you're not even earning money for your own enjoyment. You're earning to just not feel pain, if that makes sense, through the credit cards and being trapped in that cycle. The other thing that I'll say is the earlier that you start saving, the easier it becomes later on. And by that I mean, did you do Maths B or Maths A in school?
At the moment, I'm doing general maths, so yeah.
Yeah, so you might be familiar with the idea of compounding interest.
Yes.
So what that means is interest upon interest upon interest. Now, it might start off really small, saving a little bit aside, but then next year that interest will grow a little bit more and you'll have a bit more, and then it becomes a snowballing effect. Now, that snowball effect can work for you, or it can work against you. It can work against you, like I said, in situations where it's debt related. So you've got a credit card debt that might be charging you at 10%, and then you don't pay that off, so that 10% becomes 10% of a higher debt. Or it could work for you, in which case you're saving money, and because you've got another 50 odd years before you're talking about retirement, by the time you get on there, you're going to have this huge amount of money saved because you've started early. And even just a small amount over a long period of time will yield great results. The third thing is, and this is more of a behavioural perspective as well, is to not get swept up in the latest fads. So what I mean by that, there's always going to be a new hot thing. So whether that be, sometimes it might be real estate, it could be something as fancy as Bitcoin. At the moment, I hear a lot of people talking up gold. These are all they're the wrong conversations to be having. And they're just the latest fashion, really. It's like, it's fast fashion of finance. And it's the latest, hottest and sexiest thing to talk about. And it might feel like you're missing out by not jumping on. But Bitcoin and all of these things, they just go through cycles. It's important to know that this is what we call speculating rather than investing. And the difference is that there's a plan, that we're in it for the long term and not trying to make quick wins, because it's a lot harder to make quick wins than it is to make long, steady, slow progress. That's a lot more guaranteed than you're flipping a coin and hoping it comes up your way.
Yeah, wow. Well, I guess let's just segue straight into that. Share trading. Now, say I'm a young person, I'm impatient, I don't want to do savings, it's going to take years to do it. Is share trading a valuable way to make money quickly?
Not what I'm interested in. So the point that you make is you could make money quickly. You absolutely could. you could also make money doing in a safer way over a long period of time. And it might be slow and it might be boring, but it's a lot less risky. And when I say risky, I mean the chance of losing money. So just as much as some people might win $100, you could also just as much as lose it. And while it's very easy to look back and kind of talk to your friends, and this is another thing that I'll talk about, is not keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. So people only talk and share about their wins, right? You only hear about the guys that did well on the pokies, or I won that on the Melbourne Cup. You only hear the same story for shares as well, right? Particularly in today's economic environment. Oh yeah, no, I just want to, I just did really well on the shares. But you're not hearing the stories of the people who didn't do well, right? Because they're embarrassed, or they're trying to, save up enough money to do it again and make up the losses, right? So I'd be cautious about trying to make those quick wins because they can happen. I'm not going to deny that they don't, but are they reliable? Can you consistently do it? They're the real questions. And are you okay with the downside risk of that money just disappearing or losing it? They're the things that I'd ask before jumping down that path, particularly as someone who's young and if there's a long-term strategy behind it, then yeah, that'd be something to consider. But short-term stuff, it's fun to dabble as long as it's a hobby and you consider it that.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Really, I guess another thing is when you are share trading, should you be share trading in blue chip stocks if you're going to be doing it long term? So you're not guaranteed money, but it's sort of a safer waters to be in?
Yeah, so there's been tons of research about this, and there's two types of ways of investing, broadly speaking. You have actively investing and then you have passive investing. Now, active investing is picking and choosing stocks, trying to pick the winners and minimize the losers. Passive investing, however, is going, look, I'm just trying to get what the market does, what the market return is. So that might be the Australian top 200 or 300 companies and get a broad range of what they would do. Now, studies show that out of every 10 years, 2 of the years, the active managers win. Of the other 8, passively investing wins. Yeah. So and it comes back to my point earlier where people like to think that they're pretty smart and can pick the winners, but research shows that consistently being able to do that is almost impossible. So you're better in a lot of situations, and everyone's got a different philosophy around it, and who's to say that I'm right, but I've got reasons and reasons for having this belief, which is more along the passive investing approach, which is holding a diversified portfolio of good companies and holding it for a long period of time, and making sure it's in the right asset classes that will get you the results that you need and that you're comfortable with the ebbs and flows of markets. And the way that a young person should be investing, particularly in things that are long-term like superannuation, should be vastly different to how our mums and dads are investing, who will need to rely on that money in a year or two's time when they start accessing it in retirement. You've got a lot more time to ride the waves and the bumps. Whereas someone who's going to retire next year, it's really important that they are making an informed decision about their investments and have something that's going to be a bit more of a smoother ride when things like this happen with coronavirus. Because as much as we talk about these black swan events of happening once in a lifetime, well, they seem to happen pretty common. It wasn't that long ago that we had the GFC. That was a once in a lifetime event too. They're different things, but there's always going to be something that pops up along the road that makes it a little bit harder for certain people. And it's just being able to react to that and also understanding what's going to happen. That's important.
Yeah. No, that's a great way to put it, because it's really just don't get caught up in those trends. These things happen a lot more than what we think, and really don't get caught up in that. So I guess we've got all that down. That's our foundation now. So we've got a good blue chip stock. We've got a variety of it, nice even amount. So if one fails, you still have the others to back you up. That's if you're in a one of the S&P 500s where it'll just be all of them, and then you just have percentage. So now, what do we do with this money? Do we invest it into housing or property or into businesses? What should we do with it?
That's where it comes down to what your goals are. So, and that's part of my job, is to determine what they are. Because some people just don't know what they want. And that's fine. If someone asks me, what do you want? I'd struggle coming up with an answer too. So, you know, we work through things and get a good sense of what people want to achieve and when by. And then it's just choosing the right vehicle for them. So, in a lot of ways, it's like asking, do you want to fly with Qantas or Jetstar? Well, it doesn't really matter. What matters is the destination. And then, well, once we know the destination, then that can inform our decisions as far as which vehicle will get us there the safest and soundest way. We can get there in a rocket ship, but it might blow up. It might get us there the quickest, but it might blow up as well. We can go there walking, and it might be the safest, but it will take us a lot longer. So the whole conversation of which asset class do I invest in, as far as it being property, shares, you know, businesses, they're all means to an ends, and one's not necessarily any better than others. They all have their different characteristics, and they have their purposes for that. And it comes to my point earlier, as far as the way that someone who's young, who has maybe a greater tolerance for risk, might be more attuned to something with like shares or exposure to property. But someone who's later in life, if there was to be a property downturn or a share market crash, that's going to really hurt them. So it's not to say that one is necessarily better than the other. Or even if you're young, you might have a goal of going on a big once in a lifetime holiday in 2 years' time. Well, I can't tell you what the share market is going to do in 2 years' time. I might be able to give you a better sense in 7 years or 8 years' time, and give you some quoting on what long-term averages are. But averages only become averages over a long term. So 1 year it might be plus 10%, another year it could be negative 10%. That's a wild swing. But you know, to put that in the shares, that's not necessarily a good idea if you've then got the intention of in 2 years' time to use that money for to travel around the world. So it really just depends, is your honest answer, Matt. It really just depends.
Yeah, no, that another great way of putting it. Well, I guess really that's it. Thank you so much for joining me, and it's been really insightful to hear your knowledge. I guess my final thing would be is when you are picking your friends, or when you are, getting out into the world from school, who should you really be surrounding yourself with to get the most out of your life, really?
Interesting. I feel like that's more of a life coach question, but I dabble in that too. I think, look, it comes down to in a way minimizing the bad traits and having people that would otherwise pull you down or drag you down, and you might have a history of being friends with them. And that's fine, but not giving that friendship more oxygen than what it requires, because it's important that friendships are a two-way street, and that and it might be a bit cold to look at it through these lens, but it has to be both give and take for both parties. And if you find yourself on the one end a very one-sided friendship, then leave it at that. Don't feel like you owe that person too much. I mean, always be there for them if they come knocking at your door. But life's too short to be investing into things that aren't going to be giving you any joy. So I'd say that is one part of the equation, as far as minimizing bad traits, things that aren't going to necessarily push you that are going to hold you back. But on the flip side, spend time with people that empower you and are supportive of your ideas and are as passionate about your ideas as you are, because you need your own cheer team. I mean, it's important to stay grounded and get good advice along the way. but you know, you in a lot of senses, this world's a big wide place, and it can be scary doing it alone. So you need your friends to back you up, to be there and get you through the hard times. I mean, you're 17, and I'm sure you've had your struggles through your life as well. Just wait until you're 50. There's going to be crap that happens along the way, and they're the people that are going to stand beside you no matter what. And I think that's the most important thing when it comes to friendship, and what I value personally when it comes to, you use the term picking our friends. I think in a way they choose us as well.
Yeah, they really do. I think one of the best ways I've heard it. It's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Lachlan. Thank you for watching. I hope you've gotten something out of this, just like I have. And be tuned for next week's episode. We're going to be talking about Law and Order, and I know this because I recorded it this afternoon. I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.